Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Krishna Rakshatu no Jagatraya Guruhu Krishnam Namasyamyaham Krishnena Marasatravo Vinihataha Krishnaya Tasmai Namaha. Krishna Deva Samuthitam Jagadidam Krishnasya Dasosmyaham Krishne Tisthati Sarvametadakhilam He Krishna Samrakshamam. Jai Shrimanarayan. With blessings of Sri Chinna Swamiji, we are continuing Bhagavad Gita chapter 5. We finished sloka 19. We'll start with sloka 20 today. You can see sloka 20.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please chant. Na prahushyet priyam prapya
Na
prahrushyet
prahrushyet priyam prapya
no dvijet prapya cha priyam
no dvijet prapya cha priyam
Thira buddhira sammudhaha
Thira
Dhirabuddhira
samudha
samudhaha
Brahmavit brahmanisthitaha.
Brahmavit brahmani sthitaha
Let's chant together.
Na
Na
prahrushyet
prahrushyet
priyam
priyam
prapya
ya
no
Dvijay
dvijet
prapya
prapya
priyam
priyam
Sthirabuddhira
Sthirabuddhira
samudhaha
sammudhaः
Brahmavit
Brahmavit brahmani
ब्रह्मणि
sthitaha.
स्थितः.
Jai Srimanarayana. So Lord Krishna is continuing. So realizing the equality of the selves, equality of the atmas is very important, right? So he said those whose minds are firmly established in equality, like in the previous sloka, he's saying, so whose minds are firmly established in equality of the nature of the atmas, irrespective of whichever body that they reside in at that moment, the nature of the atma, pure nature of the pure atma is equivalent. They're not one atma living in all the or staying in all the bodies. It is atmas in each of the bodies, and in each of the bodies there is there's an atma, and that atma, irrespective of the body, in its pure form is equivalent to other body, other atma, right? So if our mind is firmly established in this equality, then he's saying, even here, right, even here in this current state of practice, karmic bondage is conquered. So we will be able to clear our karmic bondage. Okay, right? So how do we, I mean, how can we be in that state of seeing all atmas as equal, right? How do we realize the equality of atmas? Lord Krishna is saying here, Brahmavit. Brahmavit is one who is the knower of the atma. Okay, Brahmavit is knower of the atma. How do we know about atma? Is through our instructions, through our instructions from our acharyas, those who know the truth, right? So one who is the knower of the atma, true nature of the atma, brahmani sthitaha, who is well established in self-realization. Asamudhaha is one who is free from delusion. Okay, delusion is what? Ignorance, that is, I am body. So one who is free from the delusion that I am body. Sthira buddhi, one who is buddhi is steady. That means who is focused on the self, right? Buddhi is going in all directions means we are not focusing on our goal, right? So buddhi is steady towards the realization of the self. Okay. Priyam prapya na prapusyet. So that is the first line. Na prapusyet priyam prapya. So priyam is what is pleasant. Prapya means when obtained, when we obtain what is pleasant to us, what is pleasing to us. Na prapusyet. That person should not rejoice, should not feel elated when obtaining the what is pleasant. Na prapusyet priyam prapya. Okay. Then apriyam prapya na udvijet. No dvijet prapya chapriyam. Right. Should not feel distressed when obtaining unpleasant, what is unpleasant to us. So when one should not be elated when we obtain what is pleasant or pleasing to us, and we should not be distressed when we obtain what is unpleasant to us. Okay. So that is these are the, combined, if you can combine both of them, or you can treat them as two different rules. But this is the most fundamental thing. Typically what we do, like when we become so elated, rejoice, jump up and down, so happy, when we obtain something that is pleasing to us, that is beneficial, that we think beneficial to us. When we say us, we are talking about body, materialistic self, materialistic world, right? So whenever something materialistic benefit we obtain, we become so happy. Okay. And whenever we lose something unpleasant occurs, okay, then we become so depressed. Okay. Lord Krishna is saying one should not rejoice when we obtain what is pleasant to us, and one should not be distressed when we obtain what is unpleasant to us. Okay. Or if we extend it, as we saw in previous chapters, one should not be distressed when something that is pleasing to us is going away from us, or we lose something that is pleasing to us. Or we should not be so happy when something unpleasant is away from us. So, it's basically this the pleasing, unpleasing, right? That is materialistic in nature. So when that materialistic pleasure is, when we obtain that, we should not be overjoyed. We should realize that that pleasure that we are experiencing is only for the body, right? It is not for ourselves, right? So typically what happens is we get carried away by that. That is what Lord Krishna is saying. Why we should not be feeling overjoyous or over distressed is we lose focus on ourselves when that happens. But otherwise it's okay. What's the problem in enjoying, right? That's what people may say, oh, what's the problem? But when we get overjoyed, we go overboard when something pleasing occurs, then we forget who we are, what is our goal, right? And we run after that. And when that joy, obviously it will not stay forever. It will, after some time, we may, lose that. Then we feel bad about it, for losing it. So when we get the joy, we are getting away from our goal, losing ourselves. And when the joy is getting separated from us, then also we are, distressed, and we are not focused on ourselves. We are losing who we are and what is our goal. So for that reason, we should not be overjoyed or distressed with materialistic experiences. Okay, that's what Lord Krishna is saying. So one who is acting like this, one who is not rejoiced when something pleasing occurs, one who is not distressed when unpleasant things occur, then that person is well established in self-realization, free from delusion, and having steady intellect. Mind is focused on the self. Okay, so we don't lose our goal, and of course, Lord Krishna is going to give a few more practices. How we should behave in order for us to realize ourselves or clear our karmic bondage. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the next sloka. Sloka 21. I'll share my screen. 21.
Yeah, we can see it.
Please chant. Bahya sparshe swasaktatma vindatyatmani yasukham
Vindatyatmani
sukham
sa brahma yoga yuktatma
Brahma yoga yuktatma
sukhamakshayam asnute.
Sukham akshayam asnute
Let's chant together.
Bahyasparshesu
Swasaktatma
Vindatyatmani
Vindatyatmani
Sabrahma
Brahma
yoga
yoga
yuktatma
yuktatma
Sukhamakshayam
asnute. So Lord Krishna is explaining, how to reach the state of realizing equality of the selves, how to realize the state of self-realization. Some more practices that Lord Krishna is giving here. Yaha, one who or whoever, bahya sparsheshu asakta atma. Bahya sparsha. Bahya sparsheshu is in external sensory pleasures. Okay. Asaktatma is not attached. Okay, one whose mind is not attached to external sensory pleasures. Okay. Atmani sukham vindati. One who experiences bliss in the self. Atmani, in Atma. One who experiences bliss in Atma. Brahma yoga yuktatma. That means one whose mind is focused on meditating on Atma. Brahma Yoga Yuktatma, one who is focused on meditating on Atma, Saha, that person, Akshayam Sukham Asnute, attains eternal bliss, never-ending bliss. Akshayam is never-ending, Sukham is bliss, Asnute attains. So what is the rule that is given here? Mind is not attached to external sensory pleasures. One who is disinterested in external pleasures, external sensory pleasures. I mean, when they occur, it is fine. You experience, not a problem. But one who is not attached to them, right? Not running after them or looking forward to them. One who is disinterested. If they occur, fine. If they don't occur, that's also fine. One who is unbiased. When something good happens, thinking something, some pleasure occurs, enjoy, and look forward towards that enjoyment, having bias towards that sensory pleasure. And some unpleasant thing occurs when the sensory pleasure is missing, then having, not liking it, going into crying about it, being distressed about it. So if we do not have that, right, then we would attain the eternal bliss. We would reach that state of that equality, looking at everything, all the atmas as equal. So sensory pleasures, again, very important here. So in the previous rule, again to repeat, not going overboard with sensory pleasures, and not feeling distressed about unpleasant things or when sensory pleasures are missing. And here Lord Krishna is talking about not getting attached to them and looking towards them or trying to hang on to them, and then again crying about it when we lose them. Okay, so that is the next practice. And then Lord Krishna is saying finds happiness within oneself, only with the self. Okay, so happiness is not so. Don't look for happiness with the external pleasures, sensory pleasures. Happiness with only oneself, with Atma only. Okay, that's another practice. Okay. So
hard to control kind of a thing. Just getting an iPhone, new iPhone, so we're excited, and yeah, I know. I know. I mean, it's
iPhone 15.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's yeah. I mean, though it's satisfied itself.
So,
I mean, hard time in other side. So
imagine waiting for iPhone 15 to become happy. And when iPhone 15 comes,
in 16.
Running after it and then trying to purchase and then becoming happy only with that. What if that iPhone is lost or I don't like it finally? All the happiness is gone.
Yeah.
So basically we are running again, it will come later, that is all temporary in nature. But Krishna says that happiness is temporary in nature. One who realizes that, then they will not be running after that temporary happiness. There is something that is permanent, that is within us. So we need to recognize that and then be happy with ourselves alone. Okay. So sensory pleasures, when they occur, we need to recognize that they are for the body. Right? Those are all temporary. Body is temporary and the experiences are also temporary. Body is not us. So that happiness is not for us. That happiness is only for body. So running after the happiness for body, which is temporary, is not going to be beneficial for us at all. Right? It's like running after, really working very hard, and then earning money and then give that money to somebody else. You don't enjoy it at all, right? While working, let us say, we think, oh, we are going to earn money, and it's going to be for us, for our enjoyment. But imagine what happens is, like, after you get the result, then you have to part away with it. You can't enjoy it. It's not for you. How much pain it will be. It's going to be more painful than not having it. So all these pleasures that are occurring, external pleasures for the body, they are for the body only. They're not for us. The true happiness is within ourselves. Okay, and body cannot give that. That sensory pleasure is not transferred to us. Right? So the only pleasure that we would have is when the karmic bondage is cleared. That is the only good thing that can happen to us, not all the sweets, or all the whatever we eat, whatever we enjoy with our eyes, ears, and all that is not going to affect us at all. Okay, affect us in the sense, in clearing the karmic bondage. They actually add more karmic bondage if you think that that pleasure is for us, right? So it is, even though that happiness is happening to the body and then we keep enjoying that, it is actually harming our atma, ourself, right? So that we need to recognize that. Then what happens is we keep where it is. So if happiness occurs, it is for the body, it's not for us. We are detached from it. If unhappiness occurs, that's also for the body and we are detached from it. When we get attached to it, we know that we are going to get the karmic bondage, right? Because we are thinking that's Atma. Body is not Atma. So we get karmic bondage. Now, it doesn't mean that you should hurt yourself or run away from pleasures. That's not the point. But don't run after them is what we need to learn. So that happens only when we recognize we are not body, we are Atma. Right? So two principles that are given here in this sloka is not attached to the external sensory pleasures. And the second is happy with our own self. Okay, so happiness is not the external sensory pleasures. Happiness is within ourselves. Okay. Sloka 22. Please chant Sloka 22. Ye hi samsparshajah bhogaah
ये
हि
हि
संस्पर्शजा
भोगा
भोगः
दुःखयोनय एव ते
दुःखयोनय एव ते
आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय
आद्यन्तवन्तः
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 कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
nateshu ramate buddhaha.
Nateshu ramate
Buddha
buddha.
Question to
Buddha
Yehi
Yehi
samsparshaja
samsparshaja
bhoga
bhoga.
dukkhayo
Dukkhajonaya
evate
evate
Adyadi
Adyantavantah
anta
Kaunteya
kaunteya.
Nateshu
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 ramate
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 Buddha.
buddha.
buddhaha. So Lord Krishna is saying, hey Kaunteya, Arjuna, ye samsparshaja bhogaha, whichever samsparshaja bhogaha, pleasures that are born from the contacts, parsha, the samsparshaja bhoga are pleasures that are born out of context, okay, of external objects. Okay, so that is pleasures that are born from sensory experiences. Okay, they are dukkha-yonaya evahi. Dukkha-yonaya evahi. They are the sources or root causes of pains. So whatever pleasures that are born out of sensory pleasures are really the source of our pains or suffering. Okay, so the root cause of our our pains or suffering is our pleasures. Our pleasures are the root cause of our suffering, sorrows. It's amazing. So, why? One of the reasons, Adi Antavantaha, Adyantavantaha. They have beginning and end. Okay, so they are temporary. So when a pleasure is temporary, when the pleasure is gone, we feel unhappiness.
Yes.
Or when we do not get the pleasure, we feel unhappiness. Right? So pleasures are the real root causes of our sorrows. So if we don't have that pleasure as our goal, then we don't have sorrow. So, right? So don't run after those pleasures is what Lord Krishna is saying. Okay. Teshu, in those objects of senses, Buddha naramate. Buddha is wise, the wise people. Naramate, do not find joy. So, wise people do not find joy in this. So, in the pleasures that are born from external contexts. Okay, they do not find joy. I mean, the true happiness is not coming from that. The true happiness, the real happiness is coming from within itself. So another practice or principle that we learn from here is that the pleasures are the root causes of our pains. Okay, so do not define your joy based on the pleasures that you experience from external objects. Okay. So if you find pleasure in them, you should be ready to experience this sorrow or pain. Okay, so we can't simply say, "Oh, I'll experience the pleasure, but I will not feel bad when it is not there." That doesn't happen. This is the greatness of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna knows about us so well that he documented everything. So some people may say, "Oh, I have controlled myself. I will only, extract pleasure from it. I will keep away the sorrow," but it doesn't work that way. Okay.
The fear of losing it also is very high.
Yeah.
Yes, that is also the reason why it is.
Exactly.
It causes sorrow.
That's very
Feel so anxious.
actually.
Yeah, we feel so anxious, we want to protect it once we get it.
Right. So, I mean, we have to take them as our duties and our goals, right, related to those duties, and we need to achieve those goals. That is, we need to work for it, but it should not become our source of happiness. So, if I attain something or achieve something, get something, then only I'll be happy. That should be taken out. Okay. So I'm happy no matter whether I get it or don't get it. Because happiness is coming from within. Right? So in the process, if there is, let's say, physical pain, yes, I mean, the sorrow will be there, but we recognize that is for the body only. There is pleasure unexpectedly, or let's say we work towards it and we get the, we are able to experience the pleasure. Again, treat it as it's for the body. Don't have to reject it. Don't try to think that, oh, why did I get this? Lord Krishna doesn't say that. Don't be attached to it. Don't once you experience it, don't say that I want to experience it more and more and more forever. Right? If you experience it, that's temporary. There's a beginning and end. You know that there's a beginning and end. It is for the body, and it will go away. And it is not defining my happiness. Okay. These are all again difficult principles, but these are necessary for us to achieve self-realization. Okay, so sloka 23. Listen. Seknoti haiva yasodhum
Teknoti
Yodham
praksharira vimokshanat
Sharira
Vimokshanat
kama krododbhavam vegam
Kama
Krodhodbhavam vegam
sayukta sasukhi naraha.
Ayukta sukhi naraha.
Let's chant together. Seknoti haiva yasodham praksharira vimokshanat kama krododbhavam vegam
Sayukta sukhi naraha.
Okay, so very important principles coming in this one. Yaha, it said yes, sold whom, right? Yaha, whoever, ihaiva, seknoti ihaiva, in that ihaiva, even here, in this stage of practice. Okay, yaha, iha eva, Sharira vimokshanat prak sharira vimokshanat, before leaving from the body. Okay, whoever, even while in this stage of practice, before leaving from the body, sodhum seknoti, is able to control, is able to endure. Okay, what? This is very important. Kama krodha udbhavam vegam. Strong impulses arising from desire and anger. Udbhavam is arising. Vegam, that is coming, a strong impulse, right? Is coming fast, we can say. So, strong impulses arising from kama krodha is desire and anger. Whoever is able to control, whoever is able to withstand, endure this impulse, these impulses coming from kama and krodha, saha naraha, that person, yuktaha, is fit to experience a self. Saha sukhi bhavati, that person experiences bliss. That person experiences self-realization. Okay. That person experiences bliss after leaving the body. So, very, very simple, but very important principle. We get immediate reaction because of kama and krodha. That emotion we get, right? We get that those reactions, they come like as a strong impulse. When we feel angry, like some kind of a urge comes to take some action. Okay, that strong impulse that is generated because of the raga, kama and krodha. So that, if we are able to control or withstand, okay, that person is eligible, is fit to experience self-realization. Until one is able to control kama and krodha, they're not eligible to experience self-realization. Only that person is eligible to eligible to experience self-realization. Okay. So, this is the difference between animals and humans. Animals, they have only one instinct. They react only. Okay. They will not think twice. They just react. Human beings, difference is we have the capability to think about, control, react, respond, not react. Unfortunately, if you lose that controlling, enduring factor in us, then we become animal. Right? So then we will not be able to experience self-realization. We will not be on the path towards self-realization. So it is true that there some impulse comes within us when there is a desire and anger. That first we need to control. Okay. So
in last, can I ask you a question? Sorry. Yeah. In last two slokas, right? I think the prior the ones he's talking about outward sensory pleasures, then external objects and all those things. he hasn't mentioned before leaving the body, but kind of thing. I mean, in this sloka, he's saying before leaving the body. I mean, is there any significance to that, or is pretty much? Of course, we need to.
This is something we need to practice while we are in this body.
Yes.
So I'll think of it later. That doesn't work.
Okay.
So while we are in this stage of practice in this body itself, right? So first thing that we need to do is control our emotions. Okay, that impulse. I mean, impulse that is generated out of karma and krodha. If it's physical pain, that we cannot control. And it's not talking about that, right? Someone is hurt, they will cry. That emotion of crying is natural. We're not talking about that. Kama and krodha are the root causes of our us basically, going down.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who give us the papa, the sins. Okay, so when we are able to control that initial strong impulse that we get, right, we have the capability to control it completely. So I guess it is like a rocket, like it is going into space. That initial thing, it will burn and then it will go all the way there. If that burn is not there, the rocket will not go that far, right? So that kama and krodha, when that initial impulse is controlled, it will not go far. We can control it. Okay, but if that initial impulse is not controlled, then it will destroy us. Because they are our true enemies. Now, enemies are not outside. We learned kama, krodha, raga, dveshas. So these are all our enemies. We need to control them. Okay, so one who is able to control that strong impulse that is generated due to kama and krodha, he will be the one who is fit to experience the bliss. Okay, so I will do, Lord Krishna is not linking here, but I will do a lot of, puja and, pray to God and everything, right? But if I don't have the simple principle, right, in controlling our, that impulse that is generated out of desire and anger, doesn't matter what we do. That Lord Krishna is not giving a disclaimer here saying that even if you don't do this and you do that other thing, then you will be eligible. He didn't say that. So these are some of the principles that we need to really practice if we need to, go to a higher level. Okay. Sloka 24. We need to review all the practices, principles in what we are learning in these slokas. We'll do that in the end also again. Okay. Sloka 24. Listen. Yonta sukhontara ramaha tadhantarjyotirevayah
Jyotirevaya
sayogi brahma nirvanam
Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam
Brahma bhutodhigacchati.
Brahmabhutodhigacchati.
Question together.
Yo
Antasukhantararama
athantantotirevayah
Sayogi Brahma
Nirvanam
Nirvanam
Brahmabhutadhigacchati.
Lord Krishna is saying, Yaha, whoever, Antasukhaha, one who is happy within. Antaha Sukhaha, one who is happy within, means one who is happy in self alone. Within is self, right? So Antasukhaha, one who is happy within. Antara Aramaha, one whose place of pleasure is also within. Very nicely put. We'll see why this is so nice. Tatha, similarly, Yaha Antarjyoti Eva. Okay, one whose illumination is within. Antarjyotihi Eva. One whose illumination is within itself. Okay, or only. Sahayogi, that yogi, one who is a practitioner, is called yogi. Brahma Bhutaha, having become the nature of the Brahma. See, Brahma here is self, right? Having realized the true nature of the self. Brahma Nirvanam Adhigacchati, attains the self-realization, attains the bliss of self-realization. Adhigacchati is attains, and Brahma Nirvanam is bliss of self-realization. Brahma has several meanings. The meaning here is Atma, right? One who is happy within oneself, one whose place of happiness is also within oneself, one who is illumination is also within oneself, right? That person, that practitioner realizes the true nature of the self and attains self-realization, attains the bliss of self-realization, attains that ultimate bliss. Okay, so what Lord Krishna is excluding when he says Antasukhaha, is happy within oneself? That means that happiness is not derived from external pleasures, right? It's so one whose object of pleasure is Atma only. Okay, I'm not running up. See, if I want to get pleasure, let's say if I eat something, I'm going to experience that pleasure, right? So that is the object of pleasure for me, right? That sensory object is food, is a pleasure for me. Or when I see something, I'm going to experience the pleasure. So that is the object. Whatever I see is the object, is sensory pleasure for me. Lord Krishna is saying for those who who attain self-realization, for those objects of senses are not the objects of pleasures. Those are not the ones that will give pleasure to them. Atma is their object, right? So they want to seek Atma because that is what is going to give them pleasure. Okay, so so object is Atma. Now, right? Understood? So object of pleasure is not outside. Object of pleasure is Atma itself. Antararamaha is the place of pleasure is Atma. So typically what happens if I have object, so I want to eat something, I have to go to some place. Just trying to relate, right? If I want to experience that pleasure of, let us say, seeing Niagara Falls, where is that place? That is some other place I have to go, right? So that pleasure of seeing Niagara Falls occurs only there, doesn't occur in the Sahara Desert, right? So there is a place for it. Maybe there is also, I mean, when we extend it, we can extend it to time also. There is a place and time to experience a sensory pleasure that is outside us, right? Okay. So in contrast, the sensory, the antararamaha, the pleasure, the place of pleasure is within ourselves only. You don't have to go somewhere to experience that pleasure. You know, the place of pleasure is us only. Okay, so object is us, place is also us. Don't have to run, go somewhere else. You can sit somewhere and then you experience the pleasure, right? Then antarjyotihi is so when so illumination, talking about illumination. So typically to see something, for example, or let us say I'm going to go to Niagara Falls and I want to experience the beauty of Niagara Falls. What if I go there in the night? I can't see it, right? Isn't it? So there is some external illumination that is needed. There are some external instruments that are needed. So for example, I want to eat something really nice. I go all the way to some place where I can eat it, but let us say they haven't cooked or there's no power there to cook, whatever. So you're dependent on some external things to make that happen, to give it to you, to so somebody has to cook, somebody so I like to eat, let us say, Hyderabadi biryani in a particular restaurant. So I go all the way to Hyderabad, eat that. So just having that as an object of pleasure and going to that place is not sufficient to experience the pleasure. Somebody has to make it. Now, in order to make it, some material is needed and all that. So if I don't, if there is if nobody's preparing that food, I cannot experience it. Here, in this case, there is no such thing. Illumination is also within us. The that knowledge, the knowledge that we have in us, within us, itself acts as illumination. Okay. So we don't have to go anywhere. Our object is not outside. And we don't need anything to illuminate it to us. How beautiful it is, right? So it is actually, maybe just extending what is given here. Probably the most easy thing for us to experience, in that sense, right? If I have to go to, right? If I want to see Eiffel Tower in Paris, if I don't have money, time, all that, I can't experience it at all, right? So here, there's no such thing. It's available to us free of cost, anywhere, anytime. And you don't need some other instrument to illuminate it to us. It is the knowledge of Atma itself can illuminate us.
So what is a practical example of trying to follow this? The concept seems easy, that you be within yourself, you be happy within yourself. But what is the practical implementation of this?
Practical means I want to.
Yeah, in our
More-
day-to-day life, means how do we practice it? Means we say, okay, I'm happy with myself, I don't want to go anywhere, or what is it? Means that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, so we should not define our pleasures based on external objects. That's it, right? I understand. Probably I understand your question. Like, how do we, how do we practice this? Is simply what Lord Krishna is saying. Don't define your pleasure based on external objects, right? Don't attach yourself to sensory pleasures. Don't, so then what is happiness? The happiness is within. So today we know only happiness from external objects, sensory pleasures, right? So Lord Krishna is saying, they are temporary, they are not for us, they're for body only, they're the root causes of our sorrows. If we are running after sensory pleasures, we get more and more karmic bondage that gives us sorrows. So we should not define our happiness on external entities, external people, objects, sensory pleasures, entities, whatever, right? So then what is our happiness? Our happiness is us only. One who is, say, meditating on the self, and another person is enjoying some drinks and food and dancing and everything, right? The two people. One is sitting, meditating, enjoying the self. Imagine that's what that they are in that state, and the other person is party, enjoying. Who do you think is happy?
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Means like
Do you
even
think that the person who is enjoying in the party is happy, right? Isn't it? That is unfortunate thing is that is what is lack of knowledge is. I mean that's ignorance that we are body, and whatever enjoyment the body is getting is our own enjoyment, is what we think. So when we don't have that knowledge of self, then what happens is, if somebody says this guy who is meditating and not enjoying in the party and all those food and drinks and things like that and dancing and this guy is the one who is actually happy, then we think that person is fool, right? Isn't it? So only when we know that who are we really, I mean, what are we really getting out of that, that's when we understand who is going to get permanent happiness and who is not going to be permanently happy. Right? So they're experiencing temporary enjoyment for their body. No, that's true. It is not illusion. It is true, right? But the enjoyment is only for the body. The illusion is thinking that I am enjoying. That is the illusion. But the reality is the body is enjoying. So somehow, I mean, this truth, reality and illusion, if you look at it, the one who is enjoying it's not illusion, it is reality. But the illusion is that illusion which is derived out of delusion is that thinking that it is, I am enjoying, right? So, so when we define our enjoyment is only within us, not external pleasures. Enjoyment is within us, not external pleasures. Then we will have constant enjoyment, not going up and down. And we know that we are getting cleaned, which is going to lead us to permanent happiness. Compared to someone who is enjoying in a party and getting mud all over the place on the Atma. So someone who is driving on a clean road, right? Compared to someone who is going in a dirt. Okay, so we don't see the dirt. Okay, so that's the kind of unfortunately we don't realize. Again, we need to have the knowledge of the self to realize it. If we know that that is not the true happiness, I shouldn't be running after that. And if I'm defining the enjoyment based on the self, then I will be continuously happy. I'll not be running after the sensory pleasure.
All right, thanks.
You have to start practicing. The only we'll be able to realize that that happiness, right? I mean, the happiness is that I'm not getting the karmic bondage. I'm cleaning myself, right?
Yeah.
So in order to attain self-realization, these are the three things that are very important. Is our goal is Atma, right? Object of pleasure is Atma. Where we experience that is within Atma. And knowledge of Atma is going to illuminate us to experience the Atma. It is not somewhere else. Okay, so then we attain the bliss of self-realization. Okay. Go on to sloka 25. Listen. Labhante brahma nirvanam
Abhante
Brahma Nirvana
Nirvanam
rushaya kshina kalmashaha
Rushaya
Vishaya
Kalmasha
Prasaha
Chinna yataatmanaha
Chinna
Chinnadvaida
Ramanadha
Atmanaha
sarvabhuta hite rataha.
Sarvabhute
Sarvabhutahiterataha
Rataha
Question together. Labhante
Labhante
brahma
brahma
nirvanam
Nirvanam
Rishaya
Rushaya
Kshina
Kalmasha
Kalmasha
Chinnadvaida
Chinnadvaita
Yataatmana
Yataatmanaha
Sarvabhuta
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 Hite
hite
Rataha.
Lord Krishna is giving some more principles. Okay. Rushayaha, sages. Okay. I mean, who are Atma seekers? In this context, we are talking about one who realizes self-realization, who will realize self-realization like that, right? So is referring to them as Rishayaha, the plural. So the sages, who are those who are the Atma seekers, Chinna Dvaidhaha, those who are free from dualities, pair of opposites, they are free from pair of opposites. Okay. Pair of opposites are what are the
Sukham.
pairs of opposites?
Sukham, Dukkham, Sitoshna.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. Pleasure, pain, yeah, happiness, sorrow, right? Heat and cold. So these are pairs of opposites who are free from dualities. And this was the first principle that Lord Krishna gave, right? Prantitikshasva Bharata.
Yeah.
So
second chapter.
who are free from that, I mean, who, who practiced their self-control, the tolerance of dualities, and they are free from the effects of the dualities. Okay. Yatatmanaha, whose minds are well directed. Okay. Established in the self. Atmanaha, Atma here is mind. Okay. Yatatmanaha, one who has directed mind towards self-realization. Okay, those whose minds are well directed. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. Very important, it will come several times. Those who are devoted to the welfare of all beings. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. Those who have joy, in the welfare of all beings, same as themselves. Okay. What happens when we, Chinna Dvaidaha Yatatmanaha Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha, then Kshina Kalmashaha, they become free from all sins. Okay, Kalmashas are sins. Kshina Kalmasha is sins are reduced or free from all sins. Then Brahma Nirvanam Labhante. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. So basically, those Atma seekers who are free from dualities, whose minds are well directed, and who are devoted to the welfare of all beings, they are freed from all sins, and they obtain bliss of self-realization. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. Brahma Nirvanam is coming multiple times. Okay, so again, principles are given here. We need to practice being free from dualities. And our mind is always established in self. We know that why our mind should be established in self, because that is the object of our pleasure, basically. Just like I want to buy Tesla, I want to buy iPhone 15. That is our mind is always thinking about it because it's our object of pleasure. But when the object of pleasure becomes our self itself, then our mind is established in the self. And then Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha, it's very important, is always think of welfare of all beings. Okay, take like joy whenever the all beings are enjoying, like you are enjoying. I mean, in other words, don't think that, okay, if I am happy, I enjoy, that's fine, no matter what happens to everybody else. Right? Not just human beings. This is very important. So,
I think your voice is breaking up a little bit.
oh, okay. Sorry.
I don't know, is for everyone or just for myself?
Okay, at least
I think it's okay. We're
Oh,
able
it's
to
okay.
hear it.
maybe the internet.
Yes,
So
it could be
Sarvabhuta
just
Hitarata
myself.
is not just so welfare of all beings. Okay, it's not just for human beings. Welfare of all beings. Unfortunately, people, governments, they only work for the people because they are the ones who are voting. In case of democracy, right? So I'm doing really good things. They only think of people, right? If let us say something is beneficial or is a welfare for animals and nature and things like that, and causing some kind of inconvenience to people, what happens? They don't want to take the chance because people are the ones who are going to vote for governments, right? So it kind of generates selfishness to people in all people, from bottom up, top down, everything. Always, I mean, see, as an individual, you can take care of whatever is in your control. However, if at a larger scale, if the government policy is to not take care of the nature, then all of us become part of that. So anyway, so Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha is very, very important, is devoted to the welfare of all beings. So if anyone who says, I am for the nature, even though it may cause inconvenience for the people, we should appreciate it. Vote for those people who take care of the nature. And of course, it includes everybody. And why, I mean, even in like not non-religious, spiritual stuff is like when it is good for the nature, it is good for human beings also in the long run. Unfortunately, that is not seen. They want immediate results. So they think, okay, try to destroy the nature and give it to human beings and it should be okay. And they're going to vote for me and I'll become the, I'll be powerful. So that is an unfortunate thing. So when we are devoted to the welfare of all beings, then we are freed from our sins. Okay, not devoted to welfare of myself. So welfare of other beings is as equal to me, is equivalent or same as welfare of myself. Okay, so then we obtain the bliss of self-realization.
And I think this in some way connects to what we said earlier, the question I was asking, right? Happiness within ourselves, that is trying to serve others, that makes us happy rather than, go to, visit Italy or, Niagara Falls. So I think these two add, actually it's a very good sequel to what the question I asked, and it makes it easier in that sense to understand. In the service of people, be happy, and it's internal happiness. You're not dependent on anybody. So I think it to some extent answers my question that I asked before. What are the simple ways we can practice?
Yes, that's very good. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, sloka 26. I think we'll cover sloka 26 also. Please stand. Kama krodha viyuktanam
Kama krodha viyuktanam
Yatinam yatachetasam
Yatinam
Yatinam
abhito brahma nirvanam
Abhito
Abhito
Brahma
Brahma
Nirvanam
Nirvanam
vartate vijitatmanam.
Vartate
Vartate
viditatmanam
Viditatmanam
Question together.
Kama
Kama
Krodha
Kamakrodhaviyuktam
Nam Yatinam
Yatinam
Yatachetasam
Chetasam
Abhito Brahman
Abhito Brahma
Nirvanam
Nirvanam
Vartate
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 Viditatmanam
Vijitatmanam
Okay. Yatinam. Yatinam is those who are striving, who are practicing self-restraint, those who are karma yogis. Okay. Kama krodha viyuktanam, those who are free from desire and anger. Freed from freed from desire and anger. Yata chetasam, whose mind is focused on self-realization. Okay. Who are regulated in thought, whose mind is under control. All are, yata chetasam. Vijita atmanam, whose mind is conquered. For them, Brahma Nirvanam Abhitaha Vartate. Vartate Brahma Nirvanam Abhitaha. Bliss of self-realization is present everywhere for them. Okay. So that means bliss of self-realization is easily accessible, is everywhere, right in front of them. Okay. So it is, I mean, again, reading between the lines, it is not hard. It's not hard. It is right, once they are able to control, I mean, it's not hard in the sense that it is not that it cannot be achieved, right? Yeah, everything is hard, but it's not that, oh, it's not for me, I don't need to do it, or I cannot do it. Or, I will not be able to experience it. It's not like that. Those who are, practicing, those who are having, those who are free from anger and desire and anger, mind is controlled and conquered. For them, self-realization is right in front of them. It's very easily accessible to them. Very simple. So, first is, the controlling that strong impulse that is generated from Kama and Krodha, right? So slowly, just keep working on it, then slowly be free from desire and anger completely. Okay. Then focus our mind on the self, not on external objects. Derive the pleasure from our self only, right? And keep practicing that, then we attain self-realization. And we will be able to see all beings as equal. I mean, all beings as equal means all the atmas in those bodies in their pure form as equal. These are all some of the principles or practices that we need to follow to attain self-realization. Any questions? No, it's good.
Yes, yeah, very clear.
Thank you. We'll conclude with the concluding prayer.
Thank you so much.
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियेण बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यज्जत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायति समर्पयामि सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु ॐ अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः जय श्रीमन्नारायण
Jai
जय श्रीमन्नारायण Thank you
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Jai
Thank you.
Jai Sri Narayana.